Hi, I'm Lisa Pavelka, and I'm in my studio today with my creative buddy Dexter, and we're whipping up something fun using Parawire's Cobra Coiler. Now, this little tool may not look like much, but you can make a lot of incredible projects using any kind of wire you like, but of course, I'm working with my favorite wire, Parawire. The Cobra Coiler comes in this handy carrying case, along with two different size mandrels for coiling your wire around. The adjustable collet accommodates a large variety of mandrel sizes, so you can even use knitting needles, wire tubing, and even this small bead pin, which is only a millimeter across in diameter. I'm going to show you how to use the Cobra Coiler to make a fun and funky bead soup cocktail ring. Now, if you're like me, you may have a stash of unused beads, pearls, or crystals that you might not think you have enough to make a project with. But just using a few of these and some of our Parawire, we can make one of these rings in just minutes. And it begins with clamping on your Cobra Coiler to your work surface. You're going to want an F-clamp or a C-clamp, and then tighten it down to a stable work surface. I'm inserting the smaller of the two mandrels that comes with your Cobra Coiler set, opening the jaws of the collet and tightening down firmly. I've taken two lengths of wire about 1.5 feet long. I'm starting with 22 gauge peridot wire, inserting it into the jaws of the collet, bending downward, and then I can begin the coiling motion. Now, once in a while you may get a gap if you're not holding firm pressure on your wire as you coil, and you can very simply just scoot together the gap using the tip of some chain nose or flat nose pliers. While it's easy to fix gaps using that method, they usually won't occur if you hold firm, consistent pressure as you coil and use your finger to brace against the mandrel. In making a striped length for my shank, as we're going to do here, I don't need to really worry about the gaps because the next length of wire would fill those in. Now you can see I'm moving along pretty quickly, and as I near the end, I like to get the last few rotations I can out of the wire by holding them with my chain nose pliers, or you can use a pair of flat nose pliers. Now I'm going to take the larger or thicker gauge wire, which is 20 gauge in flag blue, also 1.5 feet length, and I'm just going to put pressure down as I coil, and it's going to split apart the first coil and insert itself into every other rotation. Now you can coil much faster than this, but this is a nice pace to show you how easily and fluidly the Cobra Coiler will coil your wire in just seconds. I'm working up to the end here, and I'm going to finish it off getting the last few rotations using my pliers to control it, and I'm going to go backwards. You can easily fix problems like this by going backwards and putting a little pressure in. Now I loosen my collet, and I'm ready to slip out a beautiful stripe length of wire that's going to make a lovely, comfortable shank for the base of my ring. Now, using my wire cutters, I'm going to cut off the rough edges, and this usually can take a couple of times. First to cut off the length, and then to go back in there and fine-tune it. Always maintain firm control over the wire ends, or put your finger over the short, stubby ones to make sure that they don't go airborne. Then you're going to want to measure and trim it even further against a ring mandrel. Now, if you want a size 7 ring, you're going to cut it 2 sizes smaller than the size you actually want. Check to see if any additional trimming needs to be done on your ends of your coil, and then with a 1 foot length of either the 20 or 22 gauge wire, insert it all the way through the coiled wire shank and center it. Working with the 22 gauge wire is going to be easier for manipulating the assembly of our beads. Wrapping it around our ring mandrel at the same size, 2 sizes smaller than you want, you're going to need to pull the ends apart firmly and give it 2 to 3 twists. Now this is better done if you can insert the mandrel into a bench vise, or if you've got a helper who can hold it steady while you do this step. Now we're ready to start designing with our beads, crystals, and pearls. You're probably going to want anywhere from 10 to 20 components, and I feed the largest components on first. I usually do most of the sizes between the 6 and 4 millimeter range. You can work smaller or larger as you like, but that's a really nice size to work with. And you have to decide as you go when you've got enough. Each component is added, and then the excess wire is wrapped around the base of the open area, pulling firmly so that it holds the component in place. Now, rather than just pulling it through, which sometimes you can do, there are going to be times where you find it's easier to insert the end and then just gradually feed it through so that it doesn't kink or get bound up. Work with both wire sides, adding components in a pleasing fashion for whatever design you're hoping to create. Now, you can get really creative with swirling the wire over in 1 or 2 more coils that you form by hand, or you can gradually work in smaller beads to conceal some of these areas. When you're done, you can snip away some of the excess wire and tuck them to hide the ends. They shouldn't come out. Just make sure they're not poking you anywhere. Here, I'm cutting anywhere from a 1.5 to 2 inch length and bending over the tip. I'll crimp it tightly with my chain nose pliers, and then I'm going to trim off the end until I have a little bit of a hook. Spiral coils at the ends of your wire are a nice decorative accent to your ring, and they can also be used and moved where you need to conceal exposed areas that maybe aren't as attractive as you like. Creating flat spirals of wire are traditionally made by starting with round nose pliers and then working a coil inward on a horizontal plane. Now, you can simply do that, or if you want a more professional look with a closed center, you can make that hook and then start forming it inward with your pliers. It can be a little tricky to get it started, but once you've got it going, it's a nice effect. Coil right up against the end of the ring and then bend it and adjust it into place as you like. You can even add some more wire, threading it through and tightening it around one of the wires to add more coils, or if you find you need a little more length to add some beads, that can be done too. Well, remember, it's too small. Look how easy it is to take it and just push it down right up to the size I want it to, right to the number 7. And making the coiled shank makes this ring a very comfortable ring to wear. Not only is it a fun project to make, but an economical use of wire scraps you have left over and your bead soup. Well, that's it. Functional, wearable artwork made with a bit of Parawire, your bead soup components, and of course, your Cobra Coiler. Be sure to visit the website for more video tutorials being added all the time. And happy coiling! I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this project using the Cobra Coiler. Be sure to check out other free tutorials, courtesy of Parawire, at parawire.com.